watching Tulipswift. Today I'm going to be showing you my favorite books that I read in 2016. In 2015 I read approximately 85 books, which is a lot, and this year I read 35. Anyways, it's 2017 and I'm gonna read a ton of books this year. I'm gonna really try to read like some really great series that I'm missing out on, like Illuminae and Six of Crows and An Ember in the Ashes. I picked 10 books that really stood out to me in 2016. Most of them did not come out this year, but I did read them for the first time this year. Number 10 is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I read this in 2016, but it comes out in 2017. And that's crazy because I got it in like June from B-Fest. I gave it to my friend for her birthday. I was like, here's your homework assignment. Read this book. It's really good. I read More Happy Than Not, and I'm going to talk about that in my December wrap-up. It was nowhere near as good as History Is All You Left Me. History Is All You Left Me is so amazing. It's really not about this boy and his sexuality. It's really about this boy and his relationship. This book had me going like, woo! It was pretty funny at times. To be honest, there was a lot of sad parts in this book. I really like Adam Silvera's writing. It's kind of like Meg Cabot high school books. It's just like normal teenagers talking to each other. Number 9 is Days of Blood and Starlight by Lady Taylor. This is the second book in the Daughter Smoke and Bone trilogy. I was blanking for a second. This book is not as good as the first book in my opinion. It just is way darker, and second books often go there. It was kind of tough for me to power through this one. Her writing is so amazing. It's kind of beyond me. Her stories are so different than like YA when it's like cliches. Lady Taylor, like her books are so badass. So yeah, what I liked about this book so much, the drama is so intense and it just, the most devastating things happen in this book. The main character, Carew, is like so great and I feel like she's really consistent throughout the series. She's really like problem solving the whole time and I appreciate that. And I just love all the different things that magic can do in this world. Number 8 is Through the Dark by Alex Bracken. What an amazing book. I wish it could be higher on the list, but I read some really good books this year, okay? Through the Dark is 3 different stories that take place in the Darkest Minds trilogy. The last one has to do with our main characters, but it's still from a point of view of like a different person. There were some tears shed when I was reading this book. It was really, really good. This is very different from the 3 books in the trilogy, but it's still like very loyal to like the world that she set up, and it fits right in. Like it's like perfectly goes in there. It's not like the same. It's a different take. There's different people. I really love the stories with Sam and Lucas. Absolutely incredible. Number 7 is Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. This is the only adult book that's made it to the list in 2 years. So, I mean, it was pretty good. It's really the same exact as the movie, and I mean that in the best way, but also, if I hadn't seen the movie before, this would easily be number 1 on my list. But I have seen the movie. I've seen it like 10 times. And so, I knew what was going to happen. I knew like the exact lines that they were saying in this book from the movie. I could like picture it, and I just felt like I was watching the movie again. But I see how it would be absolutely incredible if you were reading this for the first time and you hadn't seen it. There's just so many like twisted things that Chuck Palahniuk puts into this book. Chuck Palahniuk's a great author, but this is his first book. So I really gotta read Invisible Monsters, and I can't even think of anything else by him right now. My friend Allie did a book talk with me about this book. We spent so long in that. We wrote like an essay on Fight Club. That's like an 8-minute video, 9-minute video. So please go check that out, especially if you're curious about reading this, if you have read it, if you've just seen the movie, like it's still a really fun book talk. We go so into it. We're huge fans. She met the author, so she gives some insight on that. Number 6 is Will Grayson by John Green and David Levithan. This book is about 2 kids named Will Grayson, and the chapters alternate between each point of view. This book could have easily climbed up the list, but I feel like John Green really pulled it back. The John Green chapters, they were good, but they were just not up to par. David Levithan put his heart and soul into his Will Grayson chapters. I usually like him, but like I still have problems with his writing. But it's very obvious with which Will Grayson was John Green. and I just didn't like him as much as the other one. But it was still really good. The other Will Grayson changed my life. He's amazing. These two authors do such a good job of just being like straight up teenagers when they're writing. When I started this book a few years ago, I hated it. So the writing was too much for me. Very like in your face. I don't know how to say it, but it was too expressive for a book. So what I did is I listened to the audiobook, and the audiobook is fantastic, and I don't usually say that. When they acted out all these ridiculous lines and like exaggerations, it felt more like normal, and I felt like these are actual things that the characters would say, instead of when I was reading it and it would be like all caps, and I was like, nah. But when it was an audiobook, I could follow along, and I really enjoyed it. Okay, so I guess I'm putting this on the list even though I don't want to. It's number 5. It's by Sarah J. Maas. It's A Court of Mist and Fury. I made like a 14-minute book talk. I feel like I said what I meant. I said all that I wanted to say. Why I didn't like it, why I did like it. It's very different. It's very different than other YA things, and that's why it stands out. It has a lot of like sex in it. That's why it stands out. That's why a lot of people like it. It was really good. And I couldn't put it down. And I was really, like, interested in Feyre and Rhysand. I love Rhysand. Tamlin was really, really fun in this book, like, in the worst way. You know, there were a lot of good things. There were a lot of things that were annoying. I've talked to a lot of Sarah J. Maas haters this year, and I've listened to what they had to say, and I agree with them. But this is still my number 5. Really funny. It was really romantic. It was just action-packed. I feel like I'm not a huge fan of the main character, Feyre, and that's why this series is kind of like annoying to me. Okay, number 4! This one I have no problems with. I think it's an excellent book. It's my unproblematic fave. It's Never Fade by Alex Bracken! This is book 2 in the Darkest Minds trilogy. Okay, you need to watch my favorite books in 2015 video because it's lit, okay? And spoiler alert, my number 1 book is The Darkest Minds. So you can see that I love Never Fade. It was so much fun to read. It was like freaking, like, it made me like laugh and cry, mostly cry. And you know, you get to that part and then you just can't stop reading it. You know what I'm talking about. Freaking insane. I thought The Darkest Minds was like a masterpiece and it could not get any better, but this book is incredible, okay? And there's just so many freaking things. My heart broke like at least 6 times in this book. Just absolutely incredible. The world is so unique. It really covers some serious topics. Never Fade is a great book. It's In the Afterlife by Alex Bracken. It's the 3rd book in The Darkest Minds. And man, is it sad. I feel like it's kind of hard to put this against Never Fade, so they're kind of like equal on the list, but I put this one higher because it's the last book, so I really like that we got a conclusion. I feel like she did an excellent job wrapping up this trilogy. It was like she knew what was going to happen from the first page of The Darkest Minds, and I really appreciate that because sometimes you can tell when they're making it up as they go. Veronica Roth. I don't know if I'll ever read a series like The Darkest Minds again. It was that amazing. So I have a book talk written out for this one that I haven't freaking filmed. I still want to do the book talk. I do. Anyways, I do have a book talk for Never Fade. It's like only like 7 minutes. For a book talk, that's pretty short because I usually do long book talks. How could any books be better than those two is what you're asking yourself right now. But let me tell you, the number 1 and number 2 books of 2016 were excellent. I have to say, you've probably read them if you're watching BookTube right now. So we can fangirl together. Number 2 is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child by J.K. Rowling and John Tiffany and Jack Thorne. Who else says the other 2 authors? I'm special. I love that we're talking about Albus Potter, which is Harry's son. I love that Harry's kind of almost an antagonist. Yeah, I feel like Harry's an antagonist. I think that's fair to say. And that was incredibly interesting. I love finding out what happens to Hermione and Ron and all these great people, and then we start messing with history with a time turner, and it's just, whoa! With magic, the entire 7 books can just unravel so quick when they start messing with time. It's just very scary. I had so much fun, to be honest. When you're reading about the Harry Potter characters and it's canon, it's just so much fun. The 8th story 19 years later, like, we waited so long for this. It's so cool. I love Scorpius, like everyone says over and over again, but honestly, like, Scorpius is my favorite. He's not your favorite. He's my favorite. Scorpius is mine. I love him. I'm adopting him, you can't have him. Okay? It's settled. Scorpius is mine. This is getting really tough because every book is like better and better, and I don't know how to be more excited about each book. But the number one, I'm serious, it is my favorite book of the year. It was really good. The other books are really good too. But, I mean, it's my number one. My number one is Lady Midnight. It's by Cassandra Clare. So I'm a huge fan of the Mortal Instruments, and the Dark Artifices are everything that I ever wanted her to write. Okay, I love Emma Carstairs. She's incredible. I went through a huge Clary phase, and it's kind of almost over, but I think Emma might be my new favorite protagonist. It's so incredible. There's like these amazing mysteries, new characters, and it's so funny. It's so brilliant. And then my favorite characters from the Mortal Instruments are in this book. You know, just when your favorite people are working together out of like friendship and love, and it's just so beautiful, and they're just solving these things and they're saving the world. It just makes me so happy, and I just love the diversity in the Shadowhunter world. It's just incredible. It's doing so much for the young adult books nowadays. What I love about this book is the huge extended metaphor to the prejudice that they have in the series for the people related to fairies, and that could be used in so many points in history. Lady Midnight was incredible, and I loved it. So that's my number one book of 2016. Thank you for watching. I love you so much. Bye!